Welcome back to the FNS training series. So far, we've learned how to write migrations, set up your backend, and test your FNS using the VS Code debugger. In this video, we're switching to the front end, the Views folder, where we will build the user interface for your FNS app. By the end of this video, you will understand the structure of the Views folder and its key files, learn how the front end communicates with your backend using HTTP requests, and see how to design and render your FNS UI using React. The Views folder contains all the web code for your FNS application. It's where you will build your user interface, the visual layer that users interact with in the ProCaaSo Anywhere UI. You can use any web framework, but for this example, we'll use React since it's lightweight, modular, and perfect for FNS apps. Let's take a look at the structure of your Views directory. Within your Views folder, you have your working folder. For this example, we're calling it FNS UI. The dist folder, which is an auto-generated folder that contains the production-ready build of your front end. The Node Modules folder, which is also an auto-generated folder, which contains all the front-end dependencies required by the React application. Then we have the Source folder, which contains the source code for your React front end. Within the Components folder, you'll find the app.tsx file, which is the root component of the application. Then we have the app.css file, which is responsible for styling the main layout. Then we have the Utils folder. This folder contains files to help us access the endpoints that we created in the backend. First, we have the filehandling.tsx file, which is a dedicated component for file management. This component allows users to upload, download, list, and delete files by calling the backend storage endpoints that we created in our file management functions.py file. And then we have the ProCaaSo request.tsx file, which defines all the other HTTP request functions used by the front end to communicate to our backend. The last file we have within our source folder is the index.tsx file. This is the entry point of the React application. This file initializes the front end and renders the root app component passing the backend API URL. Back to the outer layer, we have the package.json file, which defines front-end dependencies, scripts, and build commands. The tsconfig.json file, which configures TypeScript compilation for the Views project. And lastly, our npm-rc file, which stores the ProCaaSo npm credentials required to install private packages. This structure mirrors a standard React project while adding ProCaaSo-specific integrations for backend communication and secure file management through the FNS platform. So let's jump into the source folder. This is where all of your front-end source code lives. And this is where you'll spend your time when building or extending your UI. Within your components folder, you'll find your app.tsx file. This is the root component of your front end. Inside the app.tsx file, you'll see state variables that track selected systems and data, use effect hooks that pull backend routes for live updates, calls to helper functions from the Utils folder, and JSX that defines cards, dropdowns, and data displays. Next, we have the app.css file, which contains all styling for the front end. This includes dashboard layout, card styling, buttons and feedback messages, the file management UI layout, and responsive behavior for different screen sizes. Next, let's look at our Utils folder. First, we'll look at the filehandling.tsx file. This file contains functions that ping the file management endpoints that we defined in our file management functions.py file in our backend. Next, we have ProCaaSo request.txs, and this file handles all the other endpoints that we define in our task folder. Similar to the filehandling.tsx file, every function in this file targets a specific backend endpoint, attaches auth headers, sends a request to your FNS backend, and returns the response to the UI. Think of these two files as the front-end equivalent of your back-end router functions. Next, in our source folder, we have the index.tsx file, which is the entry point of the React application. Here, we initialize the application and determine which API URL to use, local or deployed. When running in development mode, it automatically points to localhost 8000, so your front end connects to the back end while you're debugging in VS Code. And in deployment mode, it retrieves the project's URL from the environment. Then it renders the root app.tsx component to display your UI. And that's your overview of your views folder. You now understand how the front end is structured and what each file is responsible for. In the next video, we'll run the front end locally, connect it to the back end, and verify live updates between your views and task folder.